But Brandon, it's time to move over from one team in Mississippi to the other team in Mississippi, as they were both at the bottom of the barrel in the SEC West last year, as we have the Mississippi State Bulldogs now, 3-5 last year, 6-7 overall. And with this team, I think it's an easy starting point, especially in my eyes, because this is usually the position that I like to focus on first. And this is the one that I usually think of first.
Can you guess it? Can you guess it?
Comment down below. Quarterback.
If you guess quarterback, you are correct.
We're going to start with the quarterback. And Nick Fitzgerald last year, taking over for Dak Prescott, almost 2,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Not bad. You'd like the completion percentage to be a little bit higher. Only had 54.3 completion percentage last year. But Brandon, he's still developing as a passer. Is this going to be the year where Nick Fitzgerald not only breaks out, but makes the Mississippi State Bulldogs contenders again like they were with Dak Prescott?
Well, it's really difficult to right off the bat say that they're going to be contenders again, only when you know how top-heavy they can be, and especially with the big dogs like LSU and Auburn trying to retool and get all their guys and try and get back into it as well.
And dethrone Alabama, who's up there at the top on their own.
And they're gunning for them. So I think that's a tough one to say. But when you talk about Nick Fitzgerald being able to break out, the guy absolutely is on his way to breaking out. And some would say, well, he broke out last season. What are you talking about? But I think he has even more of an opportunity to break out this year in the passing game and hone his passing skills. I mean, we know what he did running the football. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what he did running the football, he only carried the ball. He was the guy who carried the ball most on the team for 195 times for over 1,375 yards and 16 scores, all on the ground. All on the ground. You would think this guy was actually their running back. No, that was all on the ground by the quarterback, Nick Fitzgerald. He added in over 2,400 yards through the air, 21 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. And this guy is good. This guy is really good. And if you watch some of the games that he played in last year, he just knows how to see the field. He knows how to see the field. He makes good reads. And the guy's got an arm. He is so exciting to watch, and he is such a slippery player. You clearly can tell that with his stats in the running game. But I think that if they can add some more around him in the sense of not just him in the running game, I think if they can kind of shore up the offensive line, which is going to be interesting. It's a work in progress in that front five, but I am so hopeful that Nick Fitzgerald is going to have himself a great season. And just now, imagine him being able to hone those skills, like we had mentioned at the beginning, and become this guy who is a pro-style quarterback. Mm-hmm. This Mississippi State team won't be at the bottom for long. And they have such an opportunity here. I think that when you really look at things, we always, especially in the SEC, we always look at how they do against Alabama, how they do against.
Well, they're the measuring stick,
big brother, and they didn't do well. Mm-hmm. They got smoked out of existence. 51-3 was the final score.
It's okay. Dak Prescott couldn't beat him either. 31-6. That was a bit of a stomping 2 years ago as well.
But I think ultimately, when you're looking at things on this team, it's that defense, mm-hmm. and it's the amount of points that this defense gives up. I mean, 50, they gave up 50 or more 3 times. No, 2 times. Pardon me, 2 times this year. They gave up 40 once, 38 another. But at the end of the season, they gave up 20 and 16 respectively. So they got better in the last 2 games, but the 2 games prior, they gave up 51 and 58 respectively. So now on defense, that's where I think obviously the focal point is in this one, Ricky. But going back again to the first question, mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely, he is primed for a breakout. But when I'm talking breakout, I'm talking through the air as a quarterback throwing the football.
When I am saying I'm on the same note as it's with his passing statistics, is what I'm going to look at, because just like in the SEC, you said we use Alabama as the measuring stick because of how good they are. Well, Nick Fitzgerald, because of what you bring, how you're able to be both a passer and a runner, I am going to measure you up against the guy who is now leading the Dallas Cowboys, who was here before you in Dak Prescott, because he's a pretty good measuring stick. He's the same kind of quarterback.
And you're a big fan of his.
Well, in college, I liked him. And 588 passing yards, 10 touchdowns on the ground. He was good on the ground. But to me, where Dak Prescott made his money in college was the passing statistics. You look at the yardage. He was just under 2,000 yards short of a 4,000 yard season, or 200 yards. That's what I meant. 200 yards short of that 4,000 yard season. Math is tough, guys. It is really tough. His completion percentage, nearly 12 percentage points better than Fitzgerald had last year. And then touchdown to INT, 29 touchdowns to 5 INTs. So to me, if Fitzgerald wants to have that breakout season, it's very simple. Complete your passes, limit turnovers, and just find receivers. And that last one's going to be a little tough, I think, in my mind, because right now, Donald Gray seems to be the guy that people are looking at to be the number one. The only question is, can he be the number one for this team? Last year, Gray having only 41 receptions, 709 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Fred Ross was the leader on the team last year. And I think this year for Fitzgerald, because of Donald Gray, yes, he's the most experienced, but the fact that he's got to prove himself as the number one, I think that Fitzgerald could lean more on the tight ends in Green and Johnson, and maybe that could help him a little more. But the biggest thing that I think Fitzgerald has to do in order to be successful is that completion percentage. I look at it, and 54% is not good enough. Like when we talk NFL draft style, usually I say, well, if they're sitting around 60%, I'm happy with it. You're about 6 percentage points off of that. So that's not too good at all. You're closer to 50 than you are 60. That's just how numbers work. But I think he's got to get up to that 60% at the least if he wants to help this team improve this year. However, I'm going to go on the flip side and say there was a wise man that once told me last year, Brandon, that the ceiling is the roof.
Yes.
And that's kind of how I see it here, where the ceiling is definitely the roof. And the highest I see this team going, if they have an amazing season, is 4th in the division. And that's only because Arkansas is iffy. We're going to get to them. I really don't know how to gauge them. Texas A&M, I think, is going to fall off this year. However, those top 3, Alabama, Auburn, LSU, I don't see Ole Miss being better than any of them. So if they have a great season in their minds, I think they'll still be behind those 3 teams.
You mean Mississippi State?
Yeah, Mississippi State.
I think that when you then move and look at the defensive side of things, which is where they really did kind of fall down last year.
Well, like you said, that 50-some points against Alabama. And then that next game, that was kind of like a shell-shocker game where it was like, whoa, we just gave up 52 points, and then they get into a shootout with Arkansas in that next game.
Yeah, but I think that you have to also know, too, that Todd Grantham now is the new defensive coordinator. He's already planning to change things up. He's going to go with a 3-4 alignment. He's got a really solid front 3. What he basically is trying to say is that our pass defense sucked, and we need to do something different. So I think that that's what they need to be able to do. The secondary has upside, and they're going to need to be able to try and stop some of these really good receivers that they're going to be going up against throughout the season. There's an opportunity. There's a real chance for this defense to be better than 110th overall this next year. I mean, if they're into the 70s, if they're into the 60s, that would be awesome. But they cannot be 110 again. That's not going to win you any championships. It's not going to get you into the top 3, and it certainly is not going to have your fans very happy. But we can't all just rag on the defense. We also have to take a look at special teams. The field goal kicker made only 11 of 19 field goals.
You got to make them field goals. Those have to be the automatic plays for him.
I mean, even if you're 16 of 19, 17 of 19, 11 of 19, you want to kick, Ricky? I've seen you do it.
Hey, I can make it. I can make it from 30 yards out.
He's done it. Maybe we'll show you the video.
I'm not very consistently good at it, but I can do it.
No, you don't need to be though. He does.
He does.
So I think that's one of the things too. I don't want to make it seem like this defense is the only reason why, and I don't also want to say that Weston Graves was the reason they lost every single game either, but he didn't help. But again, all those things need to be. It's with a lot of these teams towards the bottom. It's consistency. It's don't play. It's really difficult when you play one game and you score 35 points and you hold the opponent to 20. It's really difficult when the next 2 games then you score 20 and you cannot hold the opponent below 40. That's really difficult. To be able to consistently be holding teams anywhere between 20 to 30, that should give you a chance in college just about every week an opportunity to win. But if you're going up 40 or above, or even above 30, that's making it really tough then for your offense.
Well, and the thing that I look at, and of course the LSU game is the only one out of the top 3 that is going to be at home for Mississippi State this year. I look at the quarterbacks for the top 3 right now, hypothetical top 3 in the SEC West. Alabama, we all know his name, Jalen Hurts. He's kind of a star there in Alabama. He's going to be a really good quarterback that your pass defense that wasn't that good is going to have to go against. Then you also have an LSU. This is the guy that's kind of, to me, on the kind of, you might be able to overcome him, and that's Danny Etling, because last year, 19 of 30 in the game against Mississippi State, the 215 yards, 1 touchdown, no INTs. The no INTs is crucial because your quarterback threw 0 touchdowns. Threw 0 of them, and he didn't force LSU to turn over the ball from the quarterback side of things. Now, that game he only lost by 3, but LSU got better this offseason. However, with losing Leonard Fournette, it's weird to say that. And then you look at Auburn. Auburn last year had Sean White. He's still on the team, but he's not the one people are going to look at, not the one we're going to talk about later. They have Jarrett Stidham coming over from Baylor. So you're looking at 2 quarterbacks that beat you last year, and now Auburn got better at that position. That is a big reason with this defense why if Mississippi State wants to beat any of those top 3 teams, that Nick Fitzgerald has to basically be on Broxton Miller Madden mode. Remember that when he played Virginia Tech? He has to be on that mode if he wants to beat those 3 teams. And that's why I said that the highest I see this Mississippi team offensively and defensively getting is to that 4th spot in the division. Because, I mean, I look at their schedule for this upcoming year, Brandon, and they should win the first game. The second game is going to be interesting. Louisiana Tech, they're not one to sleep on, and that's on the road. However, after that, LSU is going to be tough. Georgia on the road is going to be tough. Auburn on the road is going to be tough. BYU beat you last year. And then I have after that, after you could possibly lose 4 straight, then it's Kentucky, probably a win, Texas A&M a win, UMass a win, then Alabama lost, Arkansas, and Ole Miss could be wins. So at the end of it, let me count them up really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe a 6, maybe a 7-win season, depending on that La Tech game. So a 6-7 win season is what I'm looking for right now from the Bulldogs. And this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below what you guys think. How's Nick Fitzgerald going to do? Is Mississippi State going to be better than they were last year? Let us know down below in the comments section.